Welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful, handsome, gorgeous, sexy, beautiful, and delicious co-host. I win tonight, Mac. And we can't forget Nacha, who puts this wonderful magic together and make sure that you guys get to experience some nerd info on a Friday night with us. And I totally won, Mac. I wasn't even planning that, but you tell me I'm beautiful every week, and I kind of felt guilty a little because I have to go into the next part, and I took my chance.
You're just supposed to ride.
I meant every one of those, by the way.
Oh,
delicious too. Be careful. We have a grill, and I will tenderize and cook you.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, it's like that.
Is that part of the good news?
It is. Oh, yeah. I squeeze Stacy's face sometimes so hard. She's like, oh, "What are you doing?" I said, "I just love you so hard. I want to squeeze your face off." She's like, "What's wrong with you?" She's like, "I love you so much. I would eat you. Like, I would just. You're delicious. I'll just eat you up." I know. People put people in padded rooms for saying things like that. I don't believe them, or do I? We do have news tonight that is good. I'm very excited about that. I could not do another week of. I needed to find out things that were happening that I could consider progress, not just good news, but progress, humanism, and policy, my favorite nerd out topics. And so I will be finishing with those two stories. Matt, however, decided that we are going to stay being that same reliable Leah that you have to look forward to each week on Friday to tell you about stuff and things that make you want to punch someone right in the throat, which is not humanism, and you shouldn't do it.
I mean, depends on who you're punching in the throat. Mitch McConnell,
you can have a good imagination, and in my imagination, I've done all kinds of things to Mitch McConnell. Well, not me personally, I couldn't do it, I couldn't touch it, but in my imagination, I've had that thing that resides here in Mitch McConnell's existence. I've had things done to that. So use your imagination.
I don't want to.
It was satisfying. He deserved it. Yeah. And all of Congress was there to watch.
There we go. Right there on the floor. Decorum. Anyways, I looked at Nacha's photo clip icon. Damn it! What's the word I'm looking for? Graphic for the show this week, and I then watched 3 seconds of Ben Shapiro, and I thought, fuck your feelings, everyone. We got to do a down and dirty show a little bit tonight too. Okay. So I'm going to try to make this quick because I really don't want to ruin everyone's evening with the normal LEAH podcast. But there were some things that were really pissing me off this week. And to save everyone the whole of Mac's angry rant this week, I'm just going to give you a taste. How does that sound? How does like a preview for next week sound? Does that sound fair, Christy?
With a little bit of rant?
Yeah, with just a little bit of rant.
Yes.
A taste of Mac. Damn it. Back to that. Thanks, Nacha.
It's the appetizer version of Mac. It's a Mac app.
Yeah. So I'll just give you guys a taste of what I will cover even deeper next week. I have my notes, and I'm just gonna go by the bold parts basically. Okay, so there just this past week there were protests going on in France, and which is awesome. The protests are good. We want the protests, because the reason for the protests is because Macron is preparing like a global security law banning filming of French police,
Right.
which is total bullshit.
Mm.
I mean, here, we have the freedom of press, and any kind of democracy, any democracy should not make illegal filming of government officials.
Oh no.
Like, the people don't have a
They
lot of
work for us.
democracy.
They get their checks from the people. So what those actions are telling me is that those officers are there to serve and protect the corporations, the buildings, the property, the wealthy property, the stores. I serve and protect who? Because I love France. They take this. This is what they do. France and Chile could write books and teach how to do these movements and protests. But go on. You're right. I just had to. Sorry, but go on. Carry on, my love.
Yeah.
Wayward son.
There'll be peace when this protest is done. Probably not.
So
don't you cry no more.
I mean, if I knew those words, I would sing them like that.
Right. And copyright strike. Sorry, guys. All right. So yeah, this is really bothersome. Not only are they making it like illegal, like they'll take your camera or take you to court, throw you in jail for a night. No, the penalty that they want to infer from this crime of filming the police, in any instance, is a 45,000 euro fine and 1 year in prison. Hence, massive protests.
Which is what fascist leaders do.
Yeah.
They stop the free press. Yeah,
I don't remember how many people were in these protests. That's something I was still looking up. I forget, but it was a lot. It was a whole lot. Anyways, there's one
yellow vest. I mean, the words yellow vest will always mean the French protesting in the streets. And I love that. I love yellow vest. The reason there's a funny story, actually, a little history. My chance to do a little bit of history. If you get a car in France and you have a driver's license, they are very strict about certain things that you have to have in your vehicle. You have to have a yellow vest in your trunk in case something happens and it's nighttime so people can see you. You have to have like all the things that would help people find you and see you. You have to have. So what does everybody have that's bright and could make everyone, the government already gave them to you? That's how the vest happened. They stop their car, get their yellow vest out, and they became the yellow vest. And they wouldn't go to neighborhoods or families, they'd go to the government that they know their taxes pay for, who work for them. And I am against damaging property. However, I am empathetic and I understand that there is a point inside of a human where that button, it's been past pushed, and now you have this one thing you're holding on to, and that gets crushed. We break, is what I'm saying. And when one person breaks and there's a lot of things going on, and I'm not condoning looting or anything like that, or any violence, I'm just saying I'm with you. The people who, are just, they don't own any property. So, when people on the news say, how don't they feel bad about breaking property? And these people have never owned a thing in their life. They struggle to eat every day. I understand that anger. So I think that we need to be empathetic and humanistic when we think about things like this. Now, France, these yellow vests, what happened was the government decided they were going to pass a hike because oil, it's getting expensive, fuel's expensive, a few other things are expensive, and people travel there by the trains, the express, high speed, all the things we don't have, and the trolleys. So it takes tokens, and they put the tax instead of on the wealthy people who are using all of these things that are expensive, they put it on the tokens. And as soon as that news came through that it passed, France was literally, like, all of France in the streets in their yellow vests, breaking government buildings. And guess what? They fixed that. So I'm just saying, the France, they won't stop. I mean, they didn't fix it right away. They were out there for 15 weekends straight. Yeah. They work 34 to 35 hours a week legally. That's, you don't work more than that. Anything over that is overtime. There's a few rules that are different than ours. And I could be, I'm Finland, a lot of the Scandinavian countries have lower hours too. But anyway, about France and their protests that is happening. I think that it's a good thing too.
It is. And speaking of how people can be pushed, like to do violence, I want to point out that segue. There's talks. I hope it hasn't passed yet. That they're trying to pass a stimulus bill here in the U.S. without a stimulus check.
Right. None for the people.
Cool. Right. That's totally cool, because 19 million Americans are facing eviction right now. And we have a lame duck president who can't get anything done. Mm-hmm. And some people still haven't gotten their first $1,200 check. Mm-hmm. Some people have completely lost their businesses or place of employment. Some areas are still in lockdown and they have no real help with their rent or food. This is what causes violent revolutions. When you suppress people so hard that all they have left is to fight with the bricks they took from the property that was taken by the bank.
Right. They've been peacefully protesting for over 7 years straight. Now what?
Yeah. This is absolutely abhorrent. And I want to make clear that this is even if we got $1,200 more, that's a slap in the face.
It
It's a
needs to be a
slap
month.
in the face. It needs to be a what?
It needs to be per month.
It needs to be per
Every
month.
28 days.
Yeah. And like this failed Uncle Sam or failed father who's like just left us fucking hanging. He needs to pay back pay on his child support, right? We need that $1,200 for the last fucking 9 months. We need it every month from now. Like, we need a UBI, right? I am doing okay. I'm struggling like normal. But I'm very fortunate, right? I know that there are many, many people who, even if they were getting what they were getting in Canada, the $2,000 a month, that's still not enough to pay all their bills and keep their home and eat, like feed their whole family 3 meals a day, maybe even 2.
And
right?
what if something happens, like an emergency where they have to take them to urgent care? And urgent care, if you have insurance, is $75. If you don't have insurance, you have to pay for it. Then now what? Now what? Right.
If your insurance is tied to your employer, you are tied to your employer.
Yes, I think we need to unfuck that really fast.
Yeah, we do. And this is just another pull yourself up by your bootstraps. By the way, you took a loan out for those boots and we need them back. Yeah. Because capitalism. You can't buy boots without a credit card.
On this exact topic, I wanted to, it's not good news and it made me cry. So it's factually happening. And every single year around the holidays and in the summer, because of businesses, they have loss and loss prevention departments. Now, each month, each week, they need to know, how was lost this week? What were the items that were lost? Normally, it's makeup. That's why you see a lot of makeup that's behind things that you have to ask people for. They come with a key. You get one out. Razors. You have to bring the paper up to the front. They give you the razors because they're expensive. Baby formula at Walmart. I always wave to myself because they have that camera that says recording. And I always think I don't have babies that age, right now, but I would kind of feel like, damn, get off me. I'm just getting baby formula. I breastfed. So anyway, I didn't have to worry about that anyway. Okay. So the things that are being stolen the most is baby formula, number one, bread, canned things like soups and raviolis, and things that will last a little longer, like bags of rice and boxes of pasta. And not the big ones, the smallest ones.
You can fit in your pocket.
Right. That means people are fucking starving. And if you think that that person is a criminal and deserves to be in jail because of that action, I could probably never be your friend. And I'm a humanist. I'm sorry. That's not someone that's, no. Now, if they were, stealing a whole bunch of stuff and then selling it on eBay, well, yeah, they're scamming people. They're a criminal. They're a fraud. And they probably should do 6 months community service and learn their lesson, little dickhead. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about things that people need to survive. So those are the things that are up, and it's survival stuff. More dogs and pets have been turned in than ever in history. People are just
Really?
turning in their pets because
They can't afford them. Can't afford to feed them.
right.
Yeah. Let me add to that. Go back to what I had said at the beginning of this part of the topic. 19 million people in America are at risk of being evicted from their home. Now, we've seen what a neighborhood can do for an illegal immigrant, like back in New York last year. Cops came to get to get like a parent before their kids even came home, like off the bus, and just take them and deport them and like leave the kid there without their parents. And the neighborhood stepped in and wouldn't let the police or ICE take said parent. That's the kind of shit we need to be doing now. If you know someone who's going to be evicted during a fucking depression, it is your job to tell your local law enforcement to fuck off and do their job. Right? Not just to listen to the warrant that they were served because a bank said that we need this home, evicted because they're not paying. No, but to like protect and serve, right? Especially this time of year, because it's fucking cold. And you need to stand up, use your voice, tell your other neighbors like, hey, the Thompsons over here are being evicted because they can't afford it, or their home due to COVID. We can't have that, right? And we really need to stand up for each other right now. If you know anyone in a situation like that, you need to step it up, even if it's not just due to COVID. Maybe later on down the line, it's just because a factory. You're muted, by the way. Just because a local factory often leaves the area
for any reason.
For any reason, that's not their fault.
The whole neighborhood is connected. When you say, hey, when you're taking out your garbage, meet people, talk to people. That's people that live next to you. We've lost that on purpose. That was done on purpose to make us individuals. It's not them, it's us against them, but it's all of us. And if all of us knew each other and had a way to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Simmons are being evicted, they just got a letter on the door, the cops will be there in the morning, and the whole neighborhood, 200 people are in the front with their cars and stuff saying, no, I'm sorry, it's not happening today. Well, guess what? The news is probably going to show up, because I would call anybody that's there, or the smart thing to do would be to call. Here in Tampa, we have 8 on your side is what it's called. And you call News Channel 8 and say, listen, I have a story for news on 8 on your side. This company is doing this person wrong and we have evidence, and they go check it out and they put them on blast on TV. So, and that's what happened with the nonprofit group called Moms for Homes. There were 7 empty homes for every homeless family in LA, Oakland. And so what they did was they occupied the homes. They let the owners know. Most of the owners were people, or not people, a company that would go to states they don't live in. And when people couldn't afford their homes and got evicted, they would buy them from the auction from the bank at bare nothing, fix up just what needs to be, and then put them on the market for rent. But they're gentrifying neighborhoods. You're trying to charge more because now the house looks better than the rest of the house. So you're not going to be able to find someone to go there to live there unless they make more. And then when someone moves in who makes more and the rest of the neighborhood looks bad, well, that makes their property taxes, like they want to gentrify more. So there's that vicious circle. So these moms for homes said there are 7 empty homes for every homeless family, a family without a home. What we want to do is, we're not saying we're moving in and just taking it F off. We're moving in and we're sitting down with lawyers and we're showing you our income, that we work, and that we cannot find affordable housing. In the neighborhood I grew up in, these families grew up in, they got kicked out of their grandmother's home because gentrification made it so that grandma couldn't pay the taxes anymore on her house that was bought for $11,000 in 1921, so it's ridiculous. So lawyers are helping and nonprofits are helping, and they work out your mortgage should be between 20 and 30% of your monthly income. Tops for a healthy, livable life.
This is
right.
Before I forget again, I want to go back to where Christy was saying, people would buy these homes at auctions after they were taken. This is one of the big problems with millionaires, like in general, why some people can have so much money. And
they buy the houses for investments, because if they don't do something with their money, then they're going to have to pay more taxes on it. And that's not the only reason. I mean, that's a very, very small reason. It's just like the cherry on top. They won't have to pay those extra taxes because they bought a new home, which means they'll get to write off those taxes that they bought a new home.
Yeah.
So they're not even paying the property taxes in the area where they're buying homes, where people are now being kicked out of the neighborhoods and communities they grew up in because of property taxes. It's so unfair. It just is. And I know there are videos on YouTube, and if you guys don't believe me, look them up, which you should never believe me. You should look them up. I've seen 2 channels. It made me sick to my stomach. The bile that was about to come up was too much, so I changed the channel. Their channels are pay your rent and something about we don't give a damn, you can't pay your rent, something like, type in those things on YouTube and they get a kick off of it. They go to evictions live and record them, and so that there's a chat where other people can comment about the loser family that's getting kicked out. You should have paid your bills then. You should have went to school then. You should have done this. You should have done that. And that's what you get for being a lazy N-word. And it's awful. There are people that actually feel that a family or humans deserve to lose their home because of a mistake that happens, like the business they worked at moved to China so that they do not have to pay, healthcare and a $12 an hour slave wage. That's what that is. It honestly is. I think that we should tie our wages to everything else, and everything else. I think that is the best idea, so that, because every area is different, and if we did and had tied wages with the economy, like San Francisco right now, the minimum wage would be like $27.83. New York would be $23 an hour. Here in Tampa, it would be $21 an hour.
One of the contributing factors of what the minimum wage should be is the cost of living.
Yeah, inflation.
Remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, when I said your housing cost should be between 20 and 30% of your monthly income.
Yeah.
I don't know any normal people that is a fact. It's 50% or more of their monthly income. And that's because rent goes up every year when you sign a new lease. However, you haven't made more. And that's been going on since the 80s, the 1980s, in a different century. Oh.
So, I'm going to continue to segue. We don't have enough money for a stimulus check in this stimulus bill, but we do have enough money to spend $942 billion on a new defense bill. Christy's eyes just popped out of her head. You'll have to excuse her while she tries to put those back in. It's kind of gross. So yeah, that was decided this week. It was voted on. I don't remember the numbers, but I do remember more Republicans were against this bill than Democrats. And this is another Trump bill for his defense budget. But yeah, this is it's really disgusting that we can say we don't have enough money to help people who are about to go homeless in our own nation. But we can spend a new record for our annual defense budget of $942 billion. And we can use that to go around and push other countries around and other peoples and more or less kill innocent people in different countries. Because that's what we do with a good majority of it. Just pushing illegal wars and occupations. So we can't help our own people, but we can send democracy bombs to other nations. That's great. That's fine. That said,
don't forget the freedom rockets.
Oh, I said democracy rockets.
Democracy bombs come with freedom rockets.
Oh,
when we sell our no. We sell weapons as a nation. That's how we make our money. So, but they come as a package. You have to buy American democracy bombs and rockets and freedom rockets. Freedom rockets, they come with it. So once you get the bombs and the rockets, you'll have all the freedom. It's written somewhere by probably somebody named or rhymed with Rich McTurtle.
I don't know if that quite rhymes, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm shell-shocked. Turtle joke. Am I not turtle enough for the Turtle Club? Another thing that's grinding my gears with our economy right now, because it's the stimulus bill, it's the defense bill, and it's the lockdowns.
Yeah.
This is something that's really driving me nuts right now. And it's the fact that really it's the small businesses that are hurting the most, right? There was a restaurant there isn't anymore. They were forced to close down in LA, where a woman had outdoor dining to try to follow the rules of like the lockdown there for COVID. And she was still forced to shut down. And a different like Hollywood restaurant was able to do the exact same thing that she was doing to keep her restaurant open. And they're allowed to, and she's not. And this goes to who has more money to lobby.
Right. And power.
Yeah. And these little mom and pop shops, like smaller grocery stores, smaller restaurants, it's really strange that you can't have, we'll say, 50 people. It's kind of a lot. And a moderately small restaurant right now. But you can have Amazon warehouses packed full of a few hundred or a few thousand people working to fill your orders online. And that's not because it's safer for them. That's not because they're going by COVID guidelines better. Just because they're too big to fail. And that's favoritism at its worst and its nicest terminology. But it's also bullshit because these big companies like General Mills, like you can name any company that's making a profit this year. And it's because they're allowed to continue to work because they're too big to fail and they have to keep us going. But all of the smaller businesses have to suffer and can't get assistance or be subsidized.
Right.
This is,
right.
I don't know what to call this.
And
it's not capitalism.
Their billions are making billions. Nobody has to do anything.
No.
They're just invested billions. They make millions every hour. But they get subsidies.
They do. And they get deals. And they get to jump around the rules. Now, I'm not saying that this next thing I'm about to say is the case. But you can make a very coherent argument saying that these larger companies who have the money to lobby and are making tons of money right now because their competition is slimming, like Amazon did.
Yeah.
Like
monopoly. There's one Amazon, one Twitter, one Facebook. Monopolies. That free, they want freedom for the free market. My arse. Go on. Sorry. That needed to be said.
No, I did. You can make a very coherent argument saying that these people who obviously get a pass and get a hand in writing the laws, and who get to be in the room and make decisions for the public because they have to be in the room because they're too big to fail and we need their help to get through.
Hold on real quick. Mac just said they get to help to write the rules. You guys, corporations, they use lobbying. And then some of them get into the Congress. And then after they're done, they go back to the companies that they worked for before, like Exxon. So while they were working in the government, they fixed all those loopholes for Exxon and helped write laws that benefit Exxon and leave the people out. Even some of them that say that the people can't even sue. And how do I know this? Because on accident, the bill was used with whatever company's letterhead who had written the bill. It was on their letterhead, and it was just like a copy and paste, and they forgot to fix it and put it on actual government. And that didn't happen once, twice, or three or four times. It's happened hundreds of times now. So, yes, the corporations are writing the bills that govern us, the laws. That, my friends, is how and what part of the word fascism is described as. So, corporate and government working together against the people.
Let me point out what else this is. I forget what I was going to end that point with, but it is oligarchy. This is oligarchy. It is straight up oligarchy. Hold on, let me say it one more time. Oligarchy. It is when the government is controlled by the rich. That's just what it is. It's so apparent. This is not a real democracy anymore. And these instances, this crisis is showing it in such a pure form, because this is what I was going to say. The coherent argument you can make is, if they see they're making so much money right now and they're destroying their competition, they can choose who wins and loses. Right? Amazon already does this when they like knock out Sears and knock out other small grocery stores and buy up the market. What they can do is choose who wins and loses. So do you know what people need to do now? We need to get this virus under control. People need to stay home and smaller businesses need to shut down. But we can stay open. We've got this. We've got you. And we have the solution. You just have to stay home and spend the rest of your savings or lose your house while we stay in business, make money, and make sure there's food for you to buy if you have any money.
Over 40% of Americans before the COVID-19, any of it, before, over 40% of Americans could not afford a $400 emergency before COVID. So
there's that. I have more. I'm not going to go into it. Not anymore tonight. We promised you some good news. So if we can, we'll go ahead and switch to that. I want to hit each one of these topics a little more and give you guys some more exact numbers on like how many people were protesting, how long it's been going on, because I think it's still going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, protesting is the best thing ever. I just wanted to add that.
And India is having like some protests with like what, 2 million or
that's
200?
One of my topics.
I thought it was. So you take protest. You take it away. Take it away. Give us some good news, Christy Santiago.
I just wanted to start off with fuck you, 2020. And 2020 was a whole decade of bullshit. I understand it was a year, but honestly ask yourself, does it feel like a year or a decade? Go ahead, Mac.
More like a decade. I just want to make sure everyone knows my prediction before the time comes. Because 2020 sucks so much, and it wants you to know that it sucks more than Nickelback. On December 29th, 2020 will take Betty White. That's been my prediction all year. On December 29th, just 2 days before the end of the year, when everyone's ready to celebrate, it'll take her.
No.
We all feel safe, and there's 2 days left to mourn her.
No.
Also, check out Ryan Reynolds'
She's immortal.
his YouTube page, because there's some great Satan dating the female embodiment of 2020.
Oh,
shit
that's
going
funny.
up there. Oh my god, it's so good. So
Right.
if you want to pick me up,
He's
go check that shit
adorable.
out. Like right after we're done. Oh, it's so goddamn good.
He's
Ryan
adorable.
Reynolds, 2020. Look it up. Go on.
Ryan Reynolds.
Juggle it.
Juggle it on the twatter. Okay, so protests. After I told 2020, fuck you, and you were the worst decade ever, I also want to say, not that you guys don't know, I just wanted to make sure that you knew, in case anyone's new. I love history. I'm obsessed with history. And this era is going to be looked back on with so much interest. As I myself looked back on here, what we called the Summer of Love, 1969, was also the same year that the South in the United States had the most lynching of Black people, but yet we call it the Summer of Love. You know, history, it's so important that we record history so that we can learn from history, and there's going to be much to learn from this era. However, this one year, 2020, had the biggest protest, the most protest in the history of ever of protests. And then I wanted to ask a question, and you can participate or not, you can or not in chat. Have you guys heard or read on the front page of a newspaper, because this would be massive news, not in the last 3 days, before that as of right now, breaking news, the biggest protest in the history of ever is happening right now? Have any of you guys hear or read anything like that? Because I would want to know. I would be like, wait, what? That's amazing. Biggest protest ever in the history of ever. Yes, Mac.
I watched Jimmy Dore on it.
You're so
cute.
You get LEAH points for that. The first person to chat definitely always gets LEAH points. And it can't be me, obviously, because I'm a co-host, I was told. And it's not right, and it's not humanist. And it can't be you either, Mac. It can't be Nacha. It can't be us, because we're here early. So sometimes rules are stupid.
Yeah, we're totally here early every time.
No, I like just being silly and saying first. And I'm always first because I'm here to do the show. But yes, if you are here first, you get the LEAH points, and I'll tell you what those are when I figure out what I want to make LEAH points be. Okay, so the biggest protest in the history of ever. Now, I didn't do a deep dive into history, and I really, really would like to, but I would like to ask a friend of mine, Subham Silwas. He is a co-host and a part of Atheist Republic. Him and I are friends. We talk on Messenger. He lives in India, or they live in India. I'm sorry. There's been a lot of difficulties with their political views and being arrested in India. So it will be difficult right now to get him to still have problems. It's just a human thing to have issues with this, and some Silwas definitely understands the humanism that I love and care for, and would be a great guest to have on to talk about those things. However, India has a leader named Modi, and Modi decided that every Muslim inside India who has just fact check this for me, Mac, real quick. 1.3 or over 1.3, 1.2 billion citizens in India. Well, Modi, their leader, decided that every Muslim was no longer a citizen and took their citizenship. What is it? 1.5, 1.3, 5, 2, 5, 3. You can just say it out loud.
1.353 billion.
I'm like, is it two syllables?
I'm like,
does it have antlers?
My bad. And that's as of 2018.
Right. So there's
you
definitely
can imagine
more.
they
Or less.
Yeah.
With all the killings and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. RB mentioned in chat. I see. Yes, if you at me in chat with the red, I will see it as I'm doing this, and I will definitely be able to interact with you. The worker strike. I'm getting to that, brother. Yes. Okay. So a general strike, the definition of a general strike is everything shuts down. So let's say in Tampa, we didn't like the way the police did something. And as people who live in Tampa, we decided that it was so bad that it was a general strike. That means nothing would be open. Not a gas station, not a grocery store, nothing. That means we are in solidarity with you. So that's coming up in this little ditty of the biggest protest ever. And there are so many stories. Okay, so when Modi, kicked out all of these Muslims because they're not citizens of India anymore. He just, with a swipe of a pen, made them no longer citizens. And I do have to tell you, under the Geneva Convention, which rules all countries, no country can take a person and make them countryless. You can't do that. It's illegal. So if a country said this person can't be here anymore, you could do it the legal way and work out with another country and they take them. Like when Maduro had to flee, Mexico said we'll get him to wherever he spent his time. I can't remember, Ecuador, Costa Rica. He spent his time in another country because they took him in, because no person can be countryless. You can't. Where will you live, in the ocean? Like, let's be real here. That's not how that works. But now we have hundreds of millions of Muslims who are not citizens of India. And their villages are literally getting blowtorched down. And if you don't get out in time, too bad. This was a few years back. Look it up. I could do the history on it. It will blow your fucking mind. So he did that. Then, of course, there were protests, but they had sticks and stones, and Modi has weapons that he buys from Lockheed Martin. So, or who equivalent, they couldn't stand. Now, farmers in India, half of that 1.353 billion are some sort of outside worker. some sort of manual with your hands worker, whether it's herding goats or milking cows or working on a farm or farming. And farmers have always got the shitty end of the deal. So unions have been created. There are farmers unions, and all of them are involved in this protest except for one. And I did not have time to look into what their reason is for not showing solidarity and being an asshat. So, and I'm saying that without having any knowledge as to why they could have righteous reasons. But as of right now, and the information I know, no, no, it doesn't make sense that you wouldn't be a part of that. So I asked Nacha, I sent it on our messages, that I wanted to share some homework. I do give you guys homework from time to time. And I actually love hearing back from a few of you that do the homework. I love it. It makes my heart. I feel like the Grinch at the end when his heart just grows like 10 times and it's going to burst out of my chest. Because when you have that type of information in your hand, that, you know, somebody I trust told me something, but then they gave me homework where I could learn more than what they just told me that I was interested in. And from there, I can understand more. And when you can understand more, it's easier to be able to describe a situation or an issue or a topic to someone who also is uninformed. So I would like to share, I don't know, the farm link should be the first link in the description. That's what Nacha just told me. I'm going to take a gander. Farm Bill 2020. So it is wonderful. It is not that long. I mean, I'm going to, I don't know how well you'll be able to see if it will. He goes from the three, there's 1, 2, 3 bill parts of the bill, and he breaks down each one, and it's so fair. Like, and if this happens, the corporations would have, it would be good, and it would help them, and the farmers, this is where they would lose out. And then if we go this way, the farmers would have more control, but the corporate, I mean, it's wonderful. And he does it in such a short time. It breaks down this farm bill and why they're protesting. What they're protesting is Modi. He became a leader of a country who used the tax money they got to help the citizens of their country. Now, they don't have Social Security. People die poor paupers when they're old because they can't work. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I do say that it is the responsibility of the people who have made it to look back and reach your hand out and help them up. It is not once you're born and you don't have to go through any of that just to be like, oh God, it's rough for them. No, it's you have to reach back. And so this farm bill, they want the farmers, the reason why they're protesting, they want it not 1, 2, or 3 gone. They want something new, because Modi's reasoning for doing this is Modi wants the government as a whole to be completely out of the farming industry, and to let the farming industry be ran by what? Private corporations, so that it would be freedom, free market enterprise. There are already not Walmarts, but grocery store strings. So of course they're already a leg up. These farmers who farm their own land, get up every morning and do it by hand. They have their family and their workers as well. They work hard, and they don't want to have to we know what happens. It's happened with the indigenous people in every part of the world. So they said no. And over 250 million, with an M, million farmers marched and walked and drove and flew and however they needed to get to Delhi, their capital. And they were met with pepper spray and tear spray and rubber bullets and brutalized. It was awful. But over 250 million, bruh, you're going to run out of bullets. And there's still going to be people. And now they're going to be even more mad. And then the countrymen they share the country with, who just witnessed their government take down their farmers, are going to go on the side of the farmers. So you're not helping yourself. And I'm sorry, how many billion of people are there? And how many people work in that government building? Because I'm not like good at math, but I'm pretty sure the triangle that lets you know the open side has more is going to be for the people. And there have been people protesting from the Communist Party, from the farmers' unions, from the socialist parties. Now, flying flags of the communist flag, not from any country, the original communism as an idea flag, the democratic socialist, so many different groups that hold different ideas have all come together as a nation and then went on a general strike and shut shit down. Trains aren't going anywhere. And they didn't have to do that. They did that in solidarity with the farmers. Now, because it has been going on and on and on, and these protesters traveled with cattle and luggage and pulled things on wheels because they were prepared to set up camp. And when I say set up camp, I mean they brought a makeshift home. They set up camp outside of the Capitol or right inside the Capitol, and they're not leaving until they get what they want. So watch that homework that I sent you. It's a bill that has 3 things in it. I read the bill myself and I was like, okay, maybe translation isn't wrong. I need someone to be honest and say what do this specific word, because it is because there are 3 in the bill and they're each like a sentence. The way that they word it means that the farmer has no rights if the corporation says, well, no, we don't want to do that. We want this. And the government has always taken care of the farmers. So, like I said, they use the taxes to help the farmers. This bill is about getting out of, no longer being a democratic socialist type of a policy when it comes to their farmers. No more subsidies, no more help, just private. Right, which all the mom and pops would be gone and all the big ones would be there, and it would be capitalism hellhole where everything's made cheap in third world countries so that there can be a first world country. It's been done before a million times. Well, these farmers say no. They're not They're not having any part of it. They have stove set up. They have their bed set up. They have their children's school books so their children can stay with their education. Like, they are ready to be there now that the government has said, okay, we'll talk. There have many political parties in India. The only political party, of course, who does not want to have a conversation about changing this bill is the party that Modi is a part of. Of course. And also, I wanted to add that what's her name? Hawaiian. She was running for president. Tulsi Gabbard. Her family, yes, are like bestie friends with Modi and Modi's family. So, and just because I'm really good friends with somebody who's part of a bad family doesn't mean that I'm a bad person or my friend who's in that bad family is either. There's no broad brushes here. I'm just saying that is a fact. The biggest protest that has ever happened on the planet we reside on happened this past week, and nobody knew about it. That's how we know we do not get actual news. It might not be fake what we're getting. We're just not getting anything that would, give us ideas or change our hearts and minds about things that aren't, bald eagles, bullets, and Bibles.
Yep. Can't have that.
Nope. The woman needs to be
We're
in the
perfect
kitchen
anyways.
making up a sandwich.
By the way, did you make me that sandwich you said you'd like get me before the stream?
Stacy loves doing that. Like, if I'm in the kitchen and I'm actually making her a sandwich, she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Being a good wife, please don't hit me. I'm making your sandwich right now." She was like, "You better." And you hurry it up.
And then you hand it to her and she backhands you anyways.
It makes me laugh.
It's the American dream.
Or if we're at the grocery store and out of nowhere, I'll just go like this real quick. And she's like, "Stop, please don't do it anymore. I'll be good, I'll promise." And I'm so much taller than her, so I'm sure they're like, "That poor woman."
You two are great.
Good times. Okay, so I thought that already 2020, just between 2016 and 2020, more protesting movements, grassroots movements, more has happened since 2016 till now than in any other time in history, including the civil rights era. And this past week, we just had the biggest protest that has ever happened. Imagine 250 million farmers bring in their camping gear to camp out outside your house, ready to lose lives because you don't have 251 million bullets. And they had the news there. So if people in other countries start seeing 250 million farmers getting shot for wanting to have a conversation about a bill, yeah, India doesn't want those kind of sanctions or problems. So I consider this amazing news. I'm in solidarity with the farmers. If you guys were curious about some of the most amazing stories, there are these short stories. Look up tactics Indian farmers are using to protest. They are ingenious, just using the land they know. Some of them are funny. there are people that do get hurt, but for the most part, the tactics are working. And the way that they set them up with, like I said, they have no weapons, so they have to use their noggins. And they are illiterate. So these big corporate asshats bringing in, I'm going to need you to read this and sign here, and it says you get to keep your farm forever, and that the government will help you, which is not. Modi wants out. And the reason why he wants out is when there's a drought or a flood, farmers get subsidies in India, as they should, as they do here, because they provide the food for the nation. They definitely should. I'm 100% with it. Let's take care of the people who feed us. And they're humans that decided to spend their life doing really hard work. Okay, well, Modi wants to take the government completely out of that. So to do that, well, the farmers are going to be the ones that suffer. And the big corporations will be just fine. So what will happen is the mom and pops will have to lose the farm to the big corporations, and nobody was the bad guy. Bad luck happens. It's the same thing that we see here when gentrifying neighborhoods, and it's got a name, guys. It's called neoliberalism and capitalism. When they make friends and make babies, all their babies are little fascist asshats. So
There you go. That was a good analogy.
Yeah, fascist asshats. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, I got a little bit of a announcement before we go, I suppose.
I'll allow it.
Thank you, Christy. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. It seems we have a Christmas marathon going on in our community. And I believe who's kicking it off is Purple Rhymes with Orange. And the start time is 5 p.m. Central Time here in the U.S. And is that on Christmas Day? Christmas Eve. It's on Christmas Eve. So, and just before midnight UK time. So, I think Nacha already has the link to his channel because he's going to be a part of that marathon. And that's down in the doobly-doo below. So check that out. And what else do we have, Christy? Do we have anything else? Do we have any questions for the end of the night?
Give me 1 second.
One. All right. Do you have anything?
I asked for that. All right.
You did ask for that.
Actually, I won't reply to RB here. I'll just reply to RB live. RB says, I did see or hear about the farmers' protests. I can't remember when or where. I didn't really research it. I was more concerned about the agents of green in the USA. Agree. Follow. It's a playbook. It's a neoliberal playbook. It's big corporations come in and they buy up so much property, land, power. Some companies will even move to a city because that city is bidding on giving them the biggest subsidy, so like some of the tech companies were getting bid on almost by mayors of cities. New York, what's his ass's name, was telling these tech companies, if you move here and give our city jobs, what they found was a lot of these companies helped write these bills and then would go into the smaller level of government and say, listen, we want to get a whole bunch of jobs here. So let's use taxpayer money and offer them a subsidy. Not only will they not have to pay taxes for 10 years, but we'll give them money. We'll help them set up to get them here, to get them jobs. And these companies would then do it until that time was up and then look for the next city who is going to offer the next one. So when greed is the end all be all, I mean, it used to say, for the many, one on our money, on our government buildings, on our coins, in our government marble floor, on the walls of courthouses. And we changed that and we put the word God, which everyone knows is dog spelled wrong, but that's okay. In dog we trust is a true statement. However, it shouldn't be on our money and it shouldn't be on our government walls. So by taking away these programs, what Modi is doing is the opposite of what leaders in South America are doing. The left leaders, like Lula, how he was taking, the income from the taxes and putting it back in. Finland does that. Scandinavia does that. They just want to get better and better each year. Here, the better and better each year isn't better and better each year. What they want is more and more. So earnings need to be higher each year in an unregulated capitalist system. If you're not increasing your intake each year, something has to go. Well, now you have to let people go so that you can have more, because that's the name of the game. More. Well, other countries have figured out that it's not more of dividends, more of cash. It's better and better. Let's see what we can do better on this year than we did last year. What are some of the things that we aren't too proud of that we would like to do better at? And let's focus there. So some good news, because like I promised you, I only had good news for you. However, if I have a fact that's really crappy about it, I will share it, because I won't be able to keep my mouth shut probably. And I'm not gonna apologize. Okay, I am going to, let's see. It's right here. And put my chat up so I can see if anybody's talking to Muha. All right. Sanna Marin, who is the prime minister, the equivalent of a president, I guess, if you will, of Finland. She was elected in a landslide in December 2019. At 34 years old. She's 35 now. She's the world's youngest prime minister elected ever at the age of 34.
That's awesome.
It's very awesome. She leads a coalition government with 5 females in the top spots. There's 5 top spots. Okay. 4 of whom are under the year of 35. So themselves. It's kind of like AOC, but the president and his administration. When a journalist asked Prime Minister Marin about the importance of gender in her win, her reply was, and I'm only going to repeat this because on their news in Finland, it was just like her reply. Here, CNN and Fox News about blew their lids. So her quote to the importance of gender in her win as prime minister, quote, "I have not actually thought about my gender or my age," and then just kept walking. I was reading chat. Sorry. It gave me a giggle. Okay, so to me, a comment like this, a question like this to her, she just won prime minister. Yes, this would be a nice question, actually. This offended many people in Finland that they would even ask her that, because she was elected because of what her policies were, what she planned to do and give, and so a comment like that might sound strange to many Americans, but when it comes to women's representation in government, Finland and the other Nordic countries are far, far ahead of the United States. It's on paper, guys. I wrote it. I wrote it in pencil, too. Some silly. A comment, I'm sorry, we're below that now. Finland routinely ranks near the top worldwide in measures of gender equality, according to the World Economic Forum, which tests every single country. Rigorous, and it's at the top. So they're doing something right, and they've been doing it right for a long time. Finland elected its first female prime minister in 2003. 2003. And women made up 47% of its parliament after elections in 2019. So almost half of the governing body is female. Back here in the USA, women are still only less than a quarter. They're above 20%, but less than 25% of Congress. And female candidates for presidents face questions about whether they are likable enough to serve as president in such a big office with so much responsibility. God.
I bet they asked that to about every prime minister, right?
I mean, dads don't cook and have responsibilities too? Seriously. It's ridiculous. Rather than gender, Prime Minister Marin says she thinks about, quote, the reasons I got into politics. And she wakes up and, wants to, why did I get into this? Because that gives her the, that's why I'm here. So the reason why I got into politics and those things for which we have won the trust of the electorate. But in the U.S., systematic barriers prevent many women from ever even getting into politics in the first place, even low-level local positions. Many of those reasons are we haven't got health care, and they do. And so the parents would have to have a job with health care, and they can't leave that job to become a politician because that doesn't come with health care. And you would need child care if you were a parent, and running for a seat in any race is going to be rigorous, and you're going to need childcare at inopportune times, and it's provided in Finland. So when it comes to achieving or at least approaching gender parity, the state or condition of being equal, especially regarding status and pay, Finland just may very well have some lessons to share with the rest of the human population on the planet, not just the United States. Finland is a leader when it comes to women's representation in politics. Prime Minister Marin's coalition is made up of 5 political parties, as I had said, all whom are female. It is the very first all-female Congress. They're just all, and that's how they got elected. So, Katri Kalumi, she's 33, of the Center Party. Maria, I'm going to pretend I do know how to pronounce that name, and everyone's going to smile like, wow, she did that well. She's 34 years old, and she's of the Green Party. Lee Anderson, 33, of the Left Alliance Party. I mean, these are not Democrat, Republican. They haven't repeated a party yet. She's of the Left Alliance Party. And Anna Maja Henriksson, 55 years old, of the Swedish People's Party. Now, I would now like to take you somewhere where I don't push the wrong button. I pushed the right one this time. Sometimes you just got to give me a minute, and then I push the right button. I get it right eventually, okay? So, how different things are there compared to here. The prime minister who just served and was being replaced by this new woman tweeted, I'll just read this little story. Former Finnish Prime Minister Alexander Stubb, a conservative, drew attention to the all-female leadership on Twitter. My party is not in government, but I rejoice that the leaders of the 5 parties in government are female. Shows that #Finland is a modern and progressive country. The majority of my government was also female. One day, gender will not matter in government. Meanwhile, these are pioneers. And a thumbs up. And he posted a picture of each one of them, their name, the party they represent, and what their position is. Like Prime Minister, Left Alliance, that would never happen here, ever. Okay? It just wouldn't happen here. No leaving president is going to say anything like that. And then we have, this. Okay. So I wanted to just share a article, and it was very hard for me I don't know my way around Indian journalism. Am I being fooled? Is it fake news? Should I trust this person? So I asked friends who live in India, who I know through Armin Navabi's Atheist Republic. And I am going to share, the title is India just had the biggest protest in world history. will it make a difference? And it was on December 9th. So it's pretty recent. And let's see if I can figure out how to do this by myself.
You can do it, Christy.
Right.
You're not by yourself. There's all of us watching you.
Are you staring at me? I feel like you're staring at me.
Only most of us.
I just want to make a copy. Oh, goodness. I don't know how. That's awful. Well, if I can, let's see. I don't. Settings. Passwords. Nope. And no share. They said, no, you can't share this. You don't know what you're doing. I think my phone just called me a boomer. I'm not, though. All right. I can share it to Mac on messaging only, it lets me. Because it's from another country, maybe. And I really have no excuse except for I suck. So I'm sending that to you. And if you could please add the article. It is a longer article. It did take me a little over 10 minutes to read it. But I also have had dicks. I also had dicks all the time. Had them all the time. In my nose, ear, all the time. All dicks.
I actually already have this up. So I can just go ahead and share it.
Dyslexia. I can't even say the damn word. So that's why it took me. Okay, yeah. So if you already have it up, please share it. And I do have confirmation that it is an honest source about the protests. And then look into some of the, I don't even know what to call them, special ops that regular citizens have been doing to protest in India for the farmers. I just think, if the farmers don't work, nobody eats. And if nobody does anything, then nothing happens. And Modi can be all big, bad, and a dictator, but he's not going to be doing anything if there's nothing to do things with. So the whole country standing in solidarity is the best news I've heard. And what a beautiful thing. History is going to look back at that the same way we look back at, if not way bigger, at people here when general strikes were allowed. I mean, people were striking because of slave labor. We still had child labor. They'd lock a whole bunch of little girls in a room because their little hands could do little things, and buildings would catch on fire and the little girls couldn't get out, so they'd burn down. And because of things like that happening, we were finally able to get the people who owned the corporations to go, yeah, that was a little awful. Sorry about that. Fine, no children. So it took general strikes in this country to get things like Social Security and Medicare for elderly, and ramps at government buildings. If they are tax paid, if citizens' taxes pay for a building, school, hospital, whatever, park, it has to have ramps. And then the differently abled community that I am a part of decided in the 50s, 60s, and 70s to do their protesting. And if you guys didn't know, they would lay down in front of a bus and not move. They would knock their wheelchair over because there were no ways for them to get on a bus to travel, and that wasn't fair. Because it was a private corporation, they didn't have to provide it. So then they passed bills that private places like Busch Gardens and Disney's Orlando had to have ramps and disabled bathrooms. So I'm hoping that this massive protest, at least the farmers come away not getting totally fucked. Sorry for my language, but just not being fucked. I think that they want to rule themselves. They want the classical definition of socialism, not what Fox News calls socialism. They want the means of production. Their farm. They want all the money that comes into it to be able to make the choices where that money goes back into their farm. And they also do not want to sign anything, any kind of loan where a bigger corporation can come in and take their farm. We've seen it happen too many times. I'll be watching. I have friends that live in these areas that are at these protests. I have trans friends who are in India who have been arrested because of saying things about atheism being a positive idea. My friends arrested from saying that they're Hindu mostly in this particular area, and that they were an atheist, and so that they thought that Islam, which all Hindus, they loathe it. Not all, I'm sure, but in this area, they're very, very, very prejudiced towards Islam. And this humanist said both are wrong in their canon, in their literature, and neither of them have been able to prove that there is a deity or deities that I should. And they got arrested. Modi's no joke. So the fact that 250 million farmers who can't read, they're illiterate, they never went to school, they don't have their teeth because they couldn't afford dental care. We're talking about the least of us. And if there's one part of the Bible that I love, and I changed it a little bit because it needed an update, obviously. It's 2,000 years old. I think that governments and institutions and people should be judged on how they treat the least among us. And the Bible says that God will treat humans when they die, on how you treated the least among you. Did you step over the poor guy? Did you charge interest to a very poor family when their interest wouldn't help you? You were so rich already. Like those things, that part of the Bible, I agree with. So I don't agree that an actual person walked on water and then said those things. I just believe of the idea of those things. The least among us. We should always reach back. And if we ever need to punch at somebody, not physically with our fist, but be mad at somebody, yell at somebody, go after somebody because the system's fucked up. We need to punch up. Always punch up. And we always need to reach back down for that next person that needed what you needed before you got it. Never, ever, ever did someone get somewhere without help. It just, you're not born in a tube as a billionaire. Even Donald Trump was given a very small loan of a few $100 million. I'm not talking about that though. I'm just talking about basic life. We wouldn't make it without each other. All we have is each other. And so remember, there are a lot of cities that have been setting up nonprofits and apps to go along with them. So if I know COVID is a big deal and people do not want to catch it. However, if quit or restaurant who does deliveries ends up with food at the end of the night or end of a shift that didn't get picked up, look into where they can drop that food off. Or I'm sorry, they don't have to do any work actually. These apps will come to the restaurant, pick up the food, and then also in the app will tell them where they need to take, hey, we have, 15 families at so and so shelter, bring it here. It's really, really hard right now, guys. Life is really, 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 really hard. And on the other side of this, we're all going to look back and think, God, we're going to have some stories to tell our grandchildren. I used to ask my papa questions about World War II and when he traveled to Japan and when he traveled to Korea and when he traveled to Russia, or if he had a friend that went to Russia and he had all these crazy stories, and I'm sure some of them that had like ninjas and fighting and he had to fight off the bad guy. I'm sure some of those were for fun. However, he always had a lot of history to share with me. You see that car? Yep. Well, I remember when those were first being made and our neighbor was the first guy to get one in our entire town. And everybody from streets over came over to his front yard to watch him wind up the front of that Ford or whatever. And one by one, the neighbors, because they knew each other, took each other, for a ride around the block. And I'll never forget that story. And I guess maybe never till just now did I realize that guy with the brand new car didn't have to do that. He probably was hungry. He worked all day. He wanted dinner, but nobody in that area had the privilege or opportunity to see one or to maybe see one, maybe even touch one, but to be in it to get a ride, that's a different story. I also want to say that Finland has a lot. Being ran by all women is awesome. And do you remember a few weeks ago when I told you that I was asked by someone, as a progressive, when will you be happy? And I thought about it. And my answer was, well, if we got the Green New Deal, how I would want it, and, the indigenous people reparations and the descendants of slaves if all that, hey honey, there would probably still be, as he just got home from her second job, there would probably be still be things that need to be done, so as a progressive, my job would probably never end. It shouldn't. We should always want to do better than we did last time. Every generation should do better than the generation before them, and not at the cost or with loss to people we don't know. For us to benefit and be a better, more prosperous, whatever country, nation, area, Western world, I don't believe, or stand for that other parts of the world should have to live, with dirt floors and no plumbing and having to walk to get water. So I do think that we do get better every generation. However, things have slowed, and they have slowed everywhere. Finland, their prime minister, when she was asked about their government being ran by all women, don't you feel like accomplished? And her answer was, no. It's 5 white women, all white. So when I look around my country, I see different, they have indigenous groups there. She would like to see the government represent the people that live in that nation. So she too, I believe, agrees that as a progressive, there's never going to be a time where it's like, well, we created heaven. It's done. Oh,
Yeah.
I hope.
And can I just point out?
Finland's number one in education, second or third year in a row, by the way.
Ding, 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 ding.
Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah. I'd like to point out real quick how funny that question is. It's like, you got a new job. First day on the job. You're asked, do you feel accomplished in this endeavor you've just set out to do? I don't know yet. I'm still trying to learn how to clock in. What a stupid question to ask. Yeah, there's progress. That's awesome. Like, you can say, you can be blunt and very, very specific and say, do you feel like the political identity progress that just happened here is a good thing? Yes. Cool. What you gonna do with it? That's a good question.
If somebody asked me on my first day of a job, do I feel accomplished? My immediate reply would be, where's the bathroom?
Where's the bathroom?
Right. Like, where's the bathroom? I don't even know where the bathroom is yet. Because I wouldn't want to talk that. Obviously, you don't know how conversations work, because that's not relevant. But knowing where the bathroom is relevant. And after I was done, if I washed my hands appropriately, I would feel accomplished. And then I would answer his question. Now I do.
All right. I have a little treat for you guys.
Okay.
Let me see. Right one.
I represent the lollipop guild. The lollipop guild.
Christy, why
The lollipop
don't you
guild.
get ready to close us out? And I'm going to leave everyone with this fun little link.
Get ready. Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Oh.
All
Okay.
right. There's at least 2 of these. So, you son of a gun. Just give me the link. There it is. Okay, got it. Dang. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on another LEAH podcast on another wonderful Friday night, now Saturday morning, or later if you're on the other end of the world and underneath. You guys are awesome. We really appreciate your support by just watching, sharing, being a patron. You guys are awesome. I want to give you this for gigs. Check this link out here in the next 1 minute. Christy, you have any last words?
I do. Happy Hanukkah, because it's Hanukkah today.
Hey.
And if you can't get enough of me, you're just like, that girl is a mess, and I have to see what else happens when she talks. Things come out of her mouth, and sometimes they make you spit out your drink. I understand. Mac makes me spit my coffee out my nose sometimes. I will be a guest tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 hours behind in California. So that would be noon if my maths are correct. And that channel is Divine Disbelief. So if Mac or Nacha or one of my wonderful mods could link Divine Disbelief in chat, I will be there tomorrow to have an amazing conversation with them, or just her. I actually don't know if I'll be able to speak with both of them or just her. I'm so excited either way, and was told by her that she's very excited too. And she is an atheist, and I am an atheist, and we're not going to talk about atheism. Her channel is, even called Divine Disbelief. Yep, not going to talk about
atheism. You are going to talk about atheism?
Nope, not going to. No, if it comes up naturally,
you're not going to do it.
We'll touch on it or answer what we need to, but nope.
Ooh, if you're going to touch on it.
Well, you better. And you're allowed to love yourself, Mac, because no one can love you like you.
That was deep.
And with that, stay humanist.
Stay humanist, for godless sake.
For godless sakes.